Story begin with Rebecca Bluegarden and Happy travel to record online B-Cube videos at the Granbell Kingdom, a robot-operated theme park that has been abandoned for 100 years. They encounter a sole human boy named Shiki, who has lived there since childhood as the adoptive grandson of Ziggy, the park's deceased Demon King robot. Shiki frightens Rebecca with his attempts at befriending her, but she warms to him upon witnessing his friendship with the other robots. The next morning, the robots become hostile towards Shiki and Rebecca, seemingly influenced by a virus to rebel against humans for deserting them. When Rebecca cries in sympathy for Shiki, he reluctantly uses Ziggy's gravity ether gear ability against his friends to rescue her, earning her friendship. Rebecca and Happy help him escape on their spaceship, the Aqua Wing, revealing themselves to be from another planet in the secure cosmos. Unknown to the three, the robots break down from old age shortly afterwards, having staged their infection to save Shiki from solitude on their own planet, Granbell. Rebecca and Happy take Shiki to the planet Bluegarden to register him into Shooting Starlight, an adventurers guild, to serve as their bodyguard. Shortly upon arrival, Shiki recognizes a hologram of Mother, a female entity who is regarded as a mythical goddess that exists beyond the secure cosmos. The guild members do not believe him when he expresses a feeling that he has seen Mother before, despite remembering nothing beyond his life on Granbell. After Rebecca takes Shiki outside in embarrassment, Happy is captured by a member of a street gang. While Shiki battles the gang, Happy reunites with Rebecca and transforms into a pair of blasters that she uses to defeat the gang's leader, revealing that Happy was given a mechanical body to survive a traffic accident from Rebecca's childhood. Meanwhile, the space pirate Elsie Crimson prepares to follow Shiki to Bluegarden. Shiki continues to be ridiculed by the members of Shooting Starlight, while Rebecca is treated similarly by her guildmate Labelia Christie, a more popular B-Cuber. Disillusioned with the guild, Shiki proposes that he and his friends embark on their own adventure by finding Mother to record a video proving her existence. The three travel to the planet Norma to obtain a more space-worthy ship from Professor Weiss Steiner, Rebecca and Happy's benefactor. They are missed by Elsie, who identifies Norma as a dead planet. Upon arriving in Weiss's house, the three are held at gunpoint by an unfamiliar young man using the professor's name. In a flash forward 20,000 years in the future, two astronauts investigating a barren world discover a pair of human remains along with Rebecca's recording device, which is inscribed with the words Eden's Zero. At Weiss's house, the stranger escapes from an ambush arranged by the crime boss Sibir, from whom the stranger has stolen a briefcase. Rebecca deduces that her group has traveled 50 years back in time, with the stranger being Weiss's past self. After encountering Weiss again while hiding from Sibir, Shiki accidentally opens the briefcase to discover Pino, a small android with an EMP that disables machinery and ether gear. Suffering from memory damage, Pino identifies Sibir as her new master and fearfully returns to him, leaving behind a B-Cube recording that reveals Sibir mistreating her and erasing her memory of her previous master. Learning from Pino's maintenance log that she comes from the present era, Shiki and his friends agree to rescue her to stop Sibir from altering history with her technology. Shiki arrives at Sibir's base with his group and defeats most of the gang members, but Weiss hijacks their motorcycle and escapes with Pino. During the ensuing confrontation with Sibir and his night gear mech, Shiki witnesses the death of a robot resembling his friend Michael from Granbell in Sibir's basement, where countless other identical robots have been discarded after being tortured by Sibir. Shiki is enraged by Sibir's cruelty towards robots and defeats him, which inspires Pino to disable the night gear's self-destruct mechanism, saving Shiki while Weiss incapacitates Sibir. Meanwhile, Elsie approaches Norma, with her ship's interior now covered in an organic growth. Shiki's group and Pino attempt to leave Norma to have Pino's memory repaired, but the Aqua Wing is blocked by an energy field surrounding Norma. Weiss, who has stowed aboard the ship to evade the police, helps them bypass the field by using his Machina Maker ether gear to upgrade the ship. The group is contacted by the present-day Weiss, who explains that they did not travel to the past, but entered an alternate history created by a chronophage, a time-eating space monster that reversed Norma's time by 50 years. The Aqua Wing is suddenly captured by Elsie and brought aboard her ship, the Skull Fairy. Threatened with enslavement on the lawless planet Gilst, Shiki challenges Elsie to a duel over ownership of the Skull Fairy, which is infested with shape-shifting alien parasites. Upon reaching the ship's bridge, Shiki is startled to find a skull-faced Elsie. Shiki defeats Elsie after a struggle, which causes her to change into a small alien creature, revealing her to be a parasite mimicking Elsie's form. The real Elsie congratulates Shiki from a nearby fleet and rewards him with the ship, having been entrusted by Ziggy to deliver it to Shiki to begin with. Engaged in a battle with the Interstellar Union Army, Elsie provides cover for Shiki's group as Weiss activates the ship's warp drive and sends them near Bluegarden. The group cleans and explores the ship, during which time Rebecca finds a bath that gives her powers similar to ether gear. In Ziggy's chamber, Shiki unwittingly activates an android named Witch Regret, who reverts the ship to its original form, the warship Eden's Zero, which advises Shiki's group to gather her android crewmates, the Demon King's 4 shining stars, to ensure the Eden's Zero's passage through Dragonfall, a dragon swarm that borders the Sakura cosmos. After Weiss leaves them, Shiki's group visits Shooting Starlight for information on Sister Ivry, one of the 3 missing androids. While exploring the city, Shiki and Pino stumble upon Labelia as she is attacked by Jin, a cyborg and wind ether gear user who works as Sister's mercenary. Shiki and Jin battle each other until Jin receives orders to retreat, inviting Shiki to a rematch on Gilst. Back at the guild, Shiki and Pino learn about the abduction of several B-Cubers, including Rebecca. Realizing Jin's involvement, Shiki's group prepares to disembark to Gilst, overheard by a kimono-wearing girl who is familiar with the Eden's Zero. Rebecca and the other captured B-Cubers are delivered to Gilst by Sister's mercenary squad, Rogout. Rogout's patron Allega, a collector of petrified women, prepares the B-Cubers for petrification by flooding their cell with a foam that dissolves their clothing. Meanwhile, Weiss returns to the Eden's Zero with the kimono-wearing girl, Hamura Kochsu, with whom he has made a deal to allow access aboard the Eden's Zero. Hamura offers to help the crew save Rebecca in exchange for the opportunity to duel the Demon King, Shiki. She also reveals herself to possess an ether gear that Witch recognizes. On Gilst, Shiki and his team enter Rogout's headquarters and are confronted by Sister. Hamura uses her Soul Blade ether gear to defeat Sister's android soldiers, allowing Shiki and Pino to stow beneath Sister's ship as she disembarks to Allega's tower. Weiss becomes suspicious of Hamura and threatens her by shooting Moscow vs. Zero, an intervening Rogout member, with a battery of turrets. Meanwhile, Rebecca rallies the other B-Cubers to form a human pyramid and help her reach their cell's elevated glass window, using the clothes dissolving foam to escape. Allega quickly corners Rebecca, but Shiki finds them and violently assails Allega. Pino calms Shiki by using her EMP to deactivate his ether gear, which also unlocks the B-Cuber's cell. Jin locates Shiki, who fends him off as Pino leads the freed B-Cubers to safety. Aboard the Eden's Zero, which detects a chronophage approaching Gilst, Jin is approached by Sister and her minion Ganoff during his battle with Shiki, who challenges all 3 at once. As this happens, Hamura finds a second android named Sister captive beneath Rogout's headquarters and convinces Weiss to release the android. After Shiki defeats the Rogout trio, the second sister exposes their leader as an imposter who kept her imprisoned for 10 years to harness her healing powers. Sister revives Allega's petrified victims before joining Shiki's group to escape from the chronophage. Jin kills the imposter, accusing her of falsely promising to save his younger sister, Clean. Meanwhile, Rebecca subdues Allega to rescue a B-Cuber who has fallen behind during their escape. Following the revival of Allega's victims, Rebecca allows them to evacuate with the other B-Cubers while she waits for Shiki, with 10 minutes remaining until the CF chronophage's arrival. Shiki reunites with Rebecca and Pino in the chaos surrounding the chronophage's approach, using his gravity to drop his group directly onto the Eden's Zero to escape. The chronophage consumes 1,200 years of Gilst's time, killing most of the planet's population while restoring its pristine nature. Among those who escape is Draken Joe, one of 6 intergalactic outlaws called the Oration Sais Galactica. Aboard the Eden's Zero, Hamura reveals herself to be a pupil of Valkyrie Yuna, one of the missing shining stars. Hamura and Weiss are accepted as permanent crew members, as is a reprogrammed Moscow, who is revealed to be from the ship's original crew. Following Sister's intuition, the crew visit the monument Iron Hill orbiting Bluegarden, where they immediately find Hermit Mio, another of the 4 shining stars. The Eden's Zero crew learn that Hermit is in a catatonic state caused by psychological trauma, which determines that Hermit's mind is secluded within Digitalis, a virtual planet and server for the massively multiplayer online role-playing game Rogue Fantasia. Shiki and his team enter the game by uploading their consciousness into digital avatars, warned by Witch that any injuries and death they sustain in the virtual world will affect their physical bodies. After interrogating the game's sentient non-player characters, the team travels to the city near Hermit's location and encounters Jamilov, a player and affiliate of Draken Joe who is notorious for killing NPCs and other players without being banned from the game. Jamilov proves himself to be invincible when Shiki attacks him to avenge the massacre victims. After Jamilov logs out to attend a meeting with Draken, Shiki's team reaches Hermit and tries persuading her to return to the Eden's Zero, but she resists out of hatred for humans. Returning to the city, The team witnesses an oncoming siege of enemy monsters reprogrammed by Jamilov to kill the surviving NPCs. Shiki rescues Hermit from the monsters while his teammates help protect the city. Meanwhile, Hamura is seemingly revealed to be working against the Eden's Zero crew when she allies with Jamilov, intent on joining Draken's ranks. As Hamura openly betrays the team after Shiki returns with Hermit, a second Hamura with a different avatar appears and saves Shiki from being killed by the monster army. The traitor Hamura is revealed to be Amira, a shape-shifting government agent who is investigating Draken, and flees after failing to kill the real Hamura. Meanwhile, Shiki remains unable to harm Jamilov, who uses cheats to gain several advantages in the game. Hermit begrudgingly helps Shiki and makes Jamilov vulnerable with her own cheats, using the Willing Weiss's account to avoid getting banned. Driven to frustration, Jamilov enters a computer code that begins deleting the game world and its characters. Hermit is initially indifferent towards the NPCs, but is swayed to undo the code when Shiki declares them to be living beings. After Jamilov is defeated, Hermit agrees to temporarily exit the game, but continues to isolate herself. The Eden Zero's computer systems are then hacked by Jamilov's real-world persona, Spider, who gains full control over the ship. As Spider begins destroying the Eden Zero from within, Hermit hopelessly tells the crew to evacuate without her. In a flashback 15 years in the past, Hermit seeks to befriend the human Dr. Muller and his research team, whom she assists in developing a machine to provide energy to the dying robot planet Hook. To her horror, the machine obliterates Hook along with her robotic colleagues stationed there while Muller and the other humans celebrate, revealing that they engineered the disaster as an act of contempt towards robots. Muller conducts torturous experiments on Hermit for the next 2 years until he and his team are arrested, leaving a traumatized Hermit to distance herself from all human contact. Back in the present, the crew's refusal to abandon Hermit leads her to realize that she still desires friendship with humans. Assured by Shiki, Hermit restores the Eden Zero systems and humiliates Spider with a prank missile attack, returning to her old, cheerful self. Hermit rejoins the Four Shining Stars, leaving Valkyrie as the last member to be found. Sister objects to visiting Shooting Starlight for information on Valkyrie's whereabouts, suspecting the guild's master, Noah Glenfield, to be connected to the events on Gilst. As an alternative, the crew travel to the planet Mildian to consult an omniscient fortune teller who lives there over Valkyrie's whereabouts, spending the voyage modeling costumes in the ship's dress factory. As part of Weiss's deal with Hamura, the fortune teller is revealed to be Xiaomai, who sends them to a battle coliseum within her temple to compensate for her knowledge. Meanwhile, Spider seeks for Draken to retaliate against the crew, but Draken has him executed for his incompetence. Believing he can profit off of the Eden Zero, Draken contacts Noah for information on the ship. Xiaomai challenges each member of Shiki's group to a series of duels to indulge her obsession with watching battles, as she has restricted her powers to prevent herself from foreseeing their outcomes. Shiki immediately defeats the first opponent, a metallic warrior. With a single punch, Rebecca wins the second match against a B-Cuber who uses a bullet-resistant force field, which she easily bypasses with an ordinary kick, and Weiss exploits a loophole in the rules to use Pino's EMP against the third opponent, an Aether Gear user with superhuman speed. For the final match, Hamura is pit against a supposed replica of Valkyrie, whom she discovers to actually be a training robot programmed by Xiaomai to act the part after defeating her. Satisfied, Xiaomai reveals the real Valkyrie to be on the planet Sun Jewel, and warns the crew of future confrontations against others who seek Mother. The crew anticipate a 3-day voyage to Sun Jewel to avoid a hazardous debris field near the planet. En route, they rescue a shipwrecked captain named Connor from a passing school of fish in space. Connor quickly exhausts the crew's hospitality with his intrusive behavior and poor manners, but when the crew confront him for unauthorized piloting of the ship, they find that he has safely brought them to Sun Jewel through the debris field within the first day of the voyage. He remains aboard the ship, withholding the name of his original ship, Eden's One. Weiss remains behind to construct a new weapon while Shiki's group investigates Sun Jewel, where Shiki and Hamura thwart a casino robbery. Madame Kurenai, the planet's ruler and an associate of Draken, publicly executes the robbers with a laser-mounted satellite called Satellite Blaze. For their use of violence against the robbers, Shiki and Hamura are branded as criminals by Madame Kurenai's emissaries, who fire the same laser on them. Shiki and Hamura are transported to Sun Jewel's labor district, where they are sentenced to harvest precious metals from alien monsters called stones alongside the planet's impoverished citizens. The two quickly run afoul of Madame Kurenai's henchman Garat, the district's cruel warden, who lashes Hamura with his paralyzing whip and takes her away. Ignoring Garat's threats against the other laborers, Shiki confronts him to rescue Hamura. In the rich sector, Labelia offers to help Rebecca's group enter the labor district in exchange for a B-Cube collaboration as repayment for Shiki rescuing her from Jin. However, the video is revealed to be a malicious prank on Rebecca, and Labelia reneges her promise after publicly humiliating her. Rebecca gains the sympathy of Nino, a fellow B-Cuber in the video's audience, who offers to guide her to the labor district himself. Garot informs Shiki and Hamura of Valkyrie's renown in the labor district, but refuses to elaborate and transports them to the den of the Black Rock, Sun Jewel's most powerful and valuable stone. Meanwhile, Nino reveals himself to be a benign agent of Madame Kurenai and allows Rebecca's group to access the labor district. The group encounters Paul, a disciple of Valkyrie who possesses a B-Cube that contains the truth of Valkyrie's circumstances, which he is hesitant to reveal to Hamura. Guided by Paul, Rebecca's group reunites with Shiki and Hamura and helps them defeat the Black Rock. Although this fulfills the quota of medals displayed on Shiki and Hamura's slave collars, the quotas immediately reset to their original value, instead of freeing them as they expect. Convinced of Hamura's resolve, Paul removes the collars himself with his thievery ether gear and gives her the B-Cube. In the rich sector, Kurenai readies her satellite to eradicate the labor district in response to an impending uprising among Valkyrie's followers. In a flashback 10 years in the past, Valkyrie raises an orphaned Hamura on the planet Ito, where their relationship faces disapproval from natives who are prejudiced against machines. 5 years into her training, Hamura is reprimanded by a local magistrate when she attacks his son for insulting Valkyrie. The magistrate convinces Valkyrie that Hamura needs her biological mother, who is revealed to be Kurenai. Finding Kurenai enslaved at Sun Jewel's labor district, Valkyrie takes her place in debt so that Kurenai may reunite with Hamura. 2 years later, Valkyrie learns that Kurenai has since remained on Sun Jewel and usurped the planet's previous ruler, having never intended to return to Hamura. After Kurenai provokes a horde of stones into attacking the district, Valkyrie perishes, slaying the horde to defend the other laborers. Back in the present, Hamura finds her teacher's remains and is devastated when Pino confirms that Valkyrie is beyond repair. Shiki consoles Hamura and leaves her to grieve while he confronts Kurenai, resolving to bring her to Hamura for judgment in Valkyrie's stead. During Shiki's battle with Kurenai's forces, Draken hacks the satellite Blaze for Kurenai's attempt to double-cross him, and prepares to seize the Eden Zero in combat. Kurenai sends Garot, a reluctant Nino, and their companion Baku to attack the labor district while she battles Shiki with her night gear, the Kurenai Dragoon. Rebecca tries recruiting Hamura to aid the laborers against Kurenai's forces, but decides against it upon finding her still in a stupor over Valkyrie's death, and offers her own words of encouragement instead. Baku is defeated by Weiss, who has assumed a superhero alter ego named Arsenal with his completed weapon, a mechanical suit that he modifies with his ether gear. As Shiki brings his battle with Kurenai into the labor district, Rebecca is forced to fight Nino when he traps her group during a supply run. After Nino defeats Rebecca, she notices several parallels between the crew's battles on Sun Jewel and Mildian, discovering hints that cause an ether gear to manifest in her legs. Her ether gear rewinds time to the moment before her defeat, allowing her to subdue and reform Nino. She names her ether gear Leaper after her newly enhanced speed, unaware of its true power. Meanwhile, Hamura notices the laborers' battle and attempts to join her allies, but is paralyzed as a delayed effect from Garot's earlier lashing. Left at Garot's mercy, Hamura uses her ultimate ether gear technique to impale him with Valkyrie's sword after he negates her attack. She recovers and reunites with Rebecca's group afterward, thanking her friends for helping her overcome her grief. Shiki combines his powers with the Kurenai Dragoon's missiles to destroy the mech, resulting in Kurenai's capture. After Nino deactivates Kurenai's robot army, Shiki and Paul elect Hamura to decide Kurenai's fate. Kurenai feigns compassion for Hamura to gain her forgiveness, but Hamura determines that Kurenai has no love for her, and acknowledges Valkyrie as her true mother. Demanding Kurenai to leave and never return, Kurenai is shortly taken captive by one of her previous victims. Shiki's team leaves Valkyrie enshrined on Sun Jewel, and returns to the Eden Zero, which has evaded Draken, to inform the crew of Valkyrie's death. Witch and sister argue over recreating Valkyrie from her backup data, which explains would result in a different android lacking Valkyrie's emotional ties to the crew. Agreeing with Shiki that they must accept Valkyrie's death, Hamura offers herself as Valkyrie's substitute in the 4 Shining Stars. The Shining Stars welcome Hamura and mourn for Valkyrie before the crew continue on their journey, pursued by Draken. Maybe that's the story of the anime Eden Zero. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video.